My beloved child, stop right here for just one moment. Do not scroll past this message. I am stepping into your atmosphere today because your soul is quietly reaching a breaking point. Heaven aligned, time itself, so your eyes would find these exact words at this exact second. You did not stumble here by accident. Give me 1 minute, and I promise your heart will not regret staying. Look at me in the deepest place of your spirit right now. I see how exhausted you truly are. It is not just a tiredness in your physical body, but a deep weariness that has settled into your very bones. You have been carrying the weight of so many silent battles without telling a single soul. And every morning when you wake up, the heavy fog is sitting on your chest before you open your eyes. You force a gentle smile for the people around you every day. You play the role of the strong one, the stable one, and the helper who holds everything together for everyone else. Yet when the doors close and the room goes dark, you sit on the edge of your bed and quietly collapse inside. I saw you when you cried softly into the darkness, hoping the silence would swallow your tears before anyone noticed. You have wondered if anyone truly understands the depth of your sacrifice. You give so purely, pouring your sincere heart into hands that never learned how to hold it. You have been hurt deeply, and you have quietly asked me why your kindness is constantly met with disappointment and abandonment. My child, I see every single act of love that went unreceived, and I keep a holy account of every tear. If you feel my presence speaking directly to your spirit in this moment, comment AMEN right now to anchor your agreement with my voice. Do not let the noise of the world pull you away from this sacred intersection. I place this message directly in your path today because something in the unseen realm is beginning to shift. You have been waiting in the shadows for far too long, wondering if heaven forgot your name. You look at the world around you and see others moving forward effortlessly. Doors open for them, while every door you knock on seems to slam shut in your face. You watch people receive the very blessings you have begged me for in tears, and a quiet whisper asks if you arrived late to your own destiny. You wonder if you made a fatal mistake, or if my promises expired for your life while you were waiting. My child, listen to me with all your heart. You are not late, and you are not behind. The lies of the enemy have been whispering that your life is a series of missed opportunities and failed attempts. He wants you to believe that you are broken beyond repair, and that your prayers have fallen on deaf ears. But I am stepping into your storm today to shatter those lies with my eternal truth. What you have been calling a painful delay is actually my preparation. What felt like a season of cruel isolation was actually me drawing you away from foundations that would have collapsed under your future weight. You thought you were standing still in a dark cistern, forgotten and abandoned by heaven. But while you were weeping in the dark, I was building beneath the surface what no human power can ever destroy. Do you feel that quiet restlessness in your chest right now as I speak? That mix of heaviness and sudden hope is not confusion, my child. That is your spirit awakening to the truth that your waiting season is finally coming to an end. I call this season the protective delay. I withheld certain answers because a quick yes in that previous season would have destroyed the very purpose I placed inside you. I know you have felt like a silent survivor, fighting invisible spiritual battles that no one around you will ever understand. You have felt like the misunderstood giver, always pouring out your life until your own vessel was completely dry. But I did not form you to merely survive the storms of life. I carefully formed you as a sacred vessel, a light bearer destined to break generational cycles of pain. Think about the times you felt completely abandoned in the dark. You begged for an answer, but all you heard was silence. You thought my silence meant my absence, and you allowed fear to tell you that I turned my back on your pain. But I stood beside you when the weight of yesterday sat heavy on your heart. I held your spirit in my hands, while you sat alone in the stillness of the night. My silence was never my absence, my beloved. It was the sound of me rearranging things in the unseen realm that your human eyes could not yet see. I was closing doors that looked beautiful to you because I saw the traps hidden behind them. I was removing people from your life who were not equipped to carry your heart, shielding you from rooms that were built to break your soul before you were ready. Pause where you are and take a deep breath. Let your shoulders relax and let your racing mind come to a complete standstill right now. You do not have to fight this battle on your own strength any longer. You do not have to figure out every single detail of tomorrow while your soul is bleeding today. I am your safe refuge, and I am stepping in to carry what you were never meant to hold alone. The enemy targeted your faith because he saw the immense light resting on your life. He brought exhaustion to your mind because he knew that if you ever realized who you are in me, your freedom would liberate everyone around you. He wanted you to give up in the waiting room so you would never walk through the threshold of your true promise. But his authority over your thoughts ends in this very moment. You have spent years shrinking yourself to fit into rooms that were too small for your destiny. You have apologized for your deep feelings, and you have hidden your spiritual sensitivity because the world called it a weakness. But I created your pure heart with absolute intention. The very tenderness that made you vulnerable to hurt is the holy instrument I will use to bring light to thousands of weary souls. Listen closely, because what I am about to tell you will completely shift the way you view every single pain from your past. None of your suffering was wasted, and none of your tears fell to the ground without me recording them. Every season of waiting, every heartbreak, and every closed door was a necessary step in shaping the resilient warrior I am revealing to the world in this new hour. You are standing at the exact edge of a massive spiritual transition. The fog that obscured your vision is beginning to clear, and the heavy chains of anxiety are loosening from your chest. Do not look back at the years you thought were lost. Do not mourn the opportunities that seem to slip through your fingers, because what I am about to pour into your life will make the waiting feel necessary. Stay with me through these moments, my beloved child. Do not allow the subtle distractions of the world to steal this divine encounter from your spirit. I am undoing the damage that years of fear and self-doubt have caused in your soul. I am giving you a new name and a new foundation, and today you will finally understand why the delay was the greatest protection I could ever give you. You have spent so many nights asking me why the road had to be so steep. You asked why you had to carry the heaviest burdens while watching others walk along smooth paths without a single care. My child, the steepness of your road was not a sign of my disfavor. A heavy vessel requires a deep foundation, and I could not place a heavenly mandate on a spirit that had never been tested by the fire. Look at the hands you have used to serve others for so long. They are tired, but they are pure. Look at the heart that has been broken so many times, yet still chooses to love despite the scars. I am renewing your strength today like the eagle. I am washing away the ash of past disappointments, and I am replacing your weariness with a divine resilience that no storm in this world can ever shake again. I know you have felt the heavy sting of being misunderstood by those closest to you. You gave your best, you spoke with sincerity, and yet your motives were questioned and your heart was misrepresented. But hear me clearly today. You do not need the approval of people who were never given the eyes to see your calling. My validation is the only seal your soul needs to step into authority. I am stripping away the false labels that the world placed on your shoulders. You are not a failure. You are not a victim of circumstance, and you are not condemned to repeat the painful patterns of your family history. You are my chosen warrior, my cycle breaker, and the vessel through which my peace will flow into dark places. Stand firm in this truth, because your preparation is complete. Let us step deeper into the quiet places of your heart today. I want to speak directly to the hidden room inside you where you keep your deepest hurts. You have spent years protecting everyone else from seeing your pain. You put on your heavy armor, you hold your head high, and you pretend that the weight does not make you bleed. But I see the quiet price you pay when the crowd goes away. I saw you sitting on the cold bathroom floor when the house was completely asleep. You turned on the running water so no one in the next room could hear your weeping. You folded yourself into the smallest shape possible and pressed your face into a towel because the grief felt too big for words. My child, you were not crazy, and you were not weak in that dark hour. You were simply a weary warrior who had run out of human strength. You have been a silent survivor for far too long. You carry the burdens of your family, your friends, and your workplace, while no one ever stops to ask how your own soul is holding up. When you are bleeding inside, you still find a way to bandage the wounds of others. You are a pure-hearted giver, but you have lived in a harsh world that only knows how to take. If you feel my eyes looking directly into your soul right now, comment "You see me" in the section below. Let this simple action be a holy declaration that you are no longer invisible. You do not have to hide your weariness from the one who formed you from the dust. I see every secret sacrifice, every quiet disappointment, and every unselfish act of love that was met with coldness and indifference. You have asked me in the deep silence of midnight why the answers you begged for seemed so delayed. You watched your prayers rise into the air and felt as though they hit a ceiling of brass and vanished into nothingness. You wondered if I was angry with you, or if your small mistakes had disqualified you from the great heavenly blessings I promised to your ancestors. Hear the truth of my heart in this moment. You are not being punished, and my silence was never a sign of my disapproval. What you have experienced in the dark valley is a holy process that I have named the silent forging. A cheap wooden vessel can be built in a single afternoon, but a golden vessel designed to hold my glory must endure the high heat of the furnace. The enemy wanted you to believe that the dark furnace was your final burial ground. He whispered in your ear that you were forgotten, useless, and cast aside by heaven. But I was standing right beside the fire, monitoring the temperature with absolute precision. I was not burning you to destroy your spirit. I was burning away the false dependencies that would have broken you in your next season. Think back to the moments when you felt most alone in this world. You looked to your left and your right, but there was no human hand to hold. The people you trusted most suddenly pulled away when your storm arrived. You felt the cold sting of betrayal and the heavy weight of abandonment. You wondered why I allowed those trusted doors to lock you out in the freezing cold. I locked those doors myself, my child. I allowed the isolation because I needed your eyes to stop looking to human beings for the validation that can only come from my throne. I removed the earthly pillars you relied on so that you would finally learn to lean your full weight on my everlasting arms. The isolation was painful, but it was the only way to rescue your soul from toxic dependencies. I saw you when you stared at the wall in despair, unable to form a single articulate prayer. I saw you when all you could offer heaven was a heavy sigh and a broken whisper of my name. Every single tear that fell from your eyes was collected in my golden bottle. Not one drop of your sorrow was ignored, and not one moment of your quiet suffering was wasted by heaven. Look at the path behind you with new eyes right now. Look at every storm you survived when you thought you would surely perish. You thought you were breaking apart, but in truth, you were being reshaped into a vessel of great spiritual authority. You thought you were losing everything, but I was simply clearing the cluttered table of your life so I could place real heavenly treasure upon it. The enemy thought he was driving you into extinction, but he was actually driving you directly into my arms. What was intended to destroy your mind has actually birthed a deep wisdom that no earthly power can ever take away from you. You carry a quiet strength now, born from the fire of endurance. You are no longer easily shaken by the opinions of men because you have been sustained by the hand of God. Do you feel the heaviness in your chest starting to shift as you listen to my voice? That particular weight behind your heart is beginning to dissolve under the warmth of my love. You do not have to hold yourself together anymore. You do not have to pretend to be invincible when you come into my presence. You can lay down your heavy armor right here and just be my beloved child. I know you have carried a deep fear that time is running out for your life. You look at your age, your bank account, and your unanswered dreams, and anxiety grips your mind. You feel as though the best years of your life were swallowed up by stress and waiting. But I am the Lord of time itself, and I am fully able to restore the years that the locusts have eaten. If you are ready to surrender your timeline and receive my perfect timing today, comment, "I trust your timing" right now in the section below. Step out of the courtroom of self-judgment. Stop measuring your worth by the standards of a world that does not know me. You are my masterpiece, and I am working behind the scenes on a schedule that will bring maximum glory to your story. My child, I need you to hear this next part with the deepest place of your spirit. The silence you have experienced was never my absence. The enemy has been filling the space between us with relentless noise, a constant static of worry, pressure, and distraction designed to drown out my voice. He wanted your mind so clouded by survival that my guidance and my arrangements would remain invisible to you. I have not abandoned you to fight this noise on your own strength. I have been preparing a way for your complete restoration, because I see your weariness. I have guided wise minds to bring you an earthly instrument of divine provision. It is a specific sound frequency designed to clear the enemy static and restore the sacred clarity I placed inside your mind from the beginning. I am going to show you exactly what this provision is and where to find it before this message ends. Do not ignore the earthly tools I align on your path to help your physical vessel carry spiritual weight. I work supernatural miracles, but I also provide daily bread for your journey. Stay with me, because you need to understand how this noise trapped your mind and how my truth will set you free. You were never meant to live in a state of perpetual exhaustion. You were created to walk in quiet confidence, surrounded by my peace, even when the world around you is shaking. The heavy fog that made every step feel like a battle is beginning to lift from your mind right now. I am breaking the invisible chains of mental fatigue that have held your spirit in captivity for so many years. Remember who you are in my eyes. You are not a forgotten victim of circumstance. You are a sickle breaker, chosen to stand in the gap for your family and bring an end to generational patterns of pain. The enemy fought you so fiercely because he saw the light resting on your future. But his power over your mind is broken, and your season of restoration begins today. I have watched you carry the emotional weight of people who never appreciated your presence. You stayed up late worrying about their problems, sacrificing your own peace so they could sleep comfortably. You emptied your own cup to keep theirs full, and when you were thirsty, they walked away without looking back. My child, I am taking those ungrateful burdens off your shoulders today. I am teaching you a holy discernment for your next season. You do not have to throw your precious pearls before those who only know how to trample them. You do not have to keep pouring your sacred love into hands that do not know how to hold it. I am surrounding you with my protection, and I am guarding the sacred garden of your heart from those who come only to consume. Breathe deeply right now, and let my peace wash over your weary soul. The heavy lifting is over, and the battle belongs to me. You do not have to strive or force doors open with your own hands anymore. I am going ahead of you to level the mountains and break the iron bars. Rest in my presence, and know that the one who called you by name is faithful to fulfill every word he has spoken over your life. Before I show you what comes next, I need to speak directly to the quiet doubt sitting in the back of your heart. I know what you are thinking right now, my child. You are thinking that you have heard beautiful words like these before. You prayed with all your strength, you held on to faith, and yet the answer never came. You wonder why this moment would be any different from the disappointments of your past. My beloved child, that honest doubt does not anger me. It tells me how long and how faithfully you have endured in the dark. So let me answer your quiet question with absolute clarity today. My silence in those long years was never my rejection or my absence. There were answers I withheld because a quick yes in that season would have destroyed the very dream you were holding. I was not ignoring your desperate cry. I was protecting you from a blessing you were not yet equipped to carry. Let me remind you of a young man I placed a great dream inside long ago. He was faithful, he was pure, and yet I allowed his own family to betray him and throw him into a dark pit. He cried in the heavy silence of that dry cistern and wondered why I allowed such injustice to happen. He was sold as a slave, wrongly accused, and forgotten in a cold prison cell for 13 long years. He sat in the dark and asked if his heavenly promise had died. But I was not absent from that dark prison cell, my child. I was building beneath the surface what no earthly throne could ever have prepared him for. I was forging his character, sharpening his discernment, and expanding his spiritual vessel. If I had brought him to the palace on his own timeline, the weight of power would have crushed his soul. The 13 years of painful waiting were not a punishment, but his sacred preparation room. The cistern you have been sitting in is not your final grave, my child. The cold walls of isolation that made you feel forgotten were actually the walls of my protection. Hold on to the dream I placed inside your spirit, and do not let the darkness convince you that I dropped your story. What the enemy intended for your destruction, I am turning into your divine deliverance. The very hands that tried to bury you will soon watch me crown your life with honor. I have seen how you replayed your prayers late at night, searching for the one thing you might have done wrong. I saw when you stopped praying out loud because you were tired of hoping for an answer that never seemed to arrive. You watched people around you receive the very breakthroughs you begged me for in tears, and you quietly wondered if I had erased your name from my book. You stopped expecting good things because disappointment felt too painful to bear. You told yourself that you were simply not faithful enough or holy enough to receive my answers. You believed the lie that your past mistakes disqualified you from walking in my abundance. My child, that belief is a cruel thief, and I am exposing it right now. You were not rejected, and you were not disqualified. The lie you believed was placed in your mind by an enemy who was terrified of what would happen once your waiting season came to an end. Here is the sacred truth I want to reveal to your heart today. There is a profound difference between a delay that comes from my protection and a delay that comes from enemy interference. My delay carries a quiet peace beneath the waiting, while the enemy uses my silence to whisper shame and confusion into your mind. I call this sneaky attack the stolen meaning. The adversary took my quiet season of preparation and convinced you that it was a sentence of abandonment. So hear me with the deepest place of your soul right now. Those long years you thought were wasted were not wasted at all. Those nights you sat in silence, wondering if I heard your voice, were not moments of punishment. Every single door that slammed shut in your face was my hand shielding you from rooms that would have broken your heart. You were never falling behind your destiny. You were being carefully formed for a glory that will last forever. So tonight, when the heaviness of waiting tries to settle on your mind again, do this simple act. Stop asking me why I am silent, and start asking me what I am shielding you from in this moment. Place your hand over your heart and whisper, "My spirit is sensing what my eyes cannot yet see," and then let your weary heart rest. A divine delay from my hands is always an act of absolute love, and my timing is never a second late. I am shifting the atmosphere around your life right now, my beloved warrior. The season of quiet forging that exhausted your strength is officially coming to a close. I am stepping out of the shadows to speak over your situation with heavenly authority. The chains of doubt that bound your mind for decades are snapping under the weight of my presence. Look up from your ashes, because the foundation of your entire life is being rebuilt today. Do you feel that sudden warmth spreading through your chest as I declare these words? That is not a coincidence, and it is not your imagination working against you. That is my holy presence breaking through the numbness that settled on your heart during the long winter. Pause where you are, and let your spirit absorb the absolute truth of my promise. You are not a forgotten soul wandering in the desert. You are my appointed light bearer. The enemy fought you with such relentless force because he knew what was hidden inside your calling. He saw that you were chosen to be a sickle breaker for your entire family line. He knew that if he could keep you trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, the generations after you would remain in bondage. But I am stripping the adversary of his authority over your bloodline today. The legacy of pain ends with you, and the legacy of my power begins right now. I have watched you carry the spiritual weight of a battle that was never meant to be fought in human strength alone. You tried to fix everything with your own cleverness, and you ran yourself into absolute exhaustion. But my power is made perfect in your complete weakness. When you stop striving and allow me to take the lead, doors that were rusted shut for 20 years will swing open in a single second. Listen closely to the rhythm of my voice in this quiet hour. I am clearing the spiritual air around your mind so you can hear my true instructions without fear. You do not have to beg for what I have already promised to give you. You do not have to fight for a seat at tables that were built by human pride. I am preparing a table for you in the presence of your enemies, and your cup will overflow with my goodness. Every step you took in the dark was ordering your footpaths toward this exact day. You thought you were wandering aimlessly, but I was guiding your steps through the wilderness with precision. Every wilderness has an ending, my child, and every long night gives way to the morning sun. You are stepping out of the shadows of preparation and into the bright light of your appointed promise. Remember how Hannah prayed in silence until her lips moved without sound. The priest thought she was lost, but every silent breath landed directly in my hands. You have prayed those same silent prayers, whispering words of desperate hope when no one was around to hear you. I counted every single word. My beloved child, what was sown in silent tears will now be harvested in public joy, and those who doubted your calling will look up in utter wonder. If your heart is burning with faith as you listen to my truth, hold fast to this moment. You are not defined by the years you spent waiting in the shadows. You are defined by the God who never left your side during the storm. The shift in your spirit is real, and the weight on your shoulders is lifting even now. Breathe in my peace, and let your soul rest in the absolute certainty of my divine care. Do not let your mind retreat into the old patterns of anxiety and fear. Stand firm in the conviction that heaven has authorized a massive breakthrough for your life. I am breaking open what I kept sealed for your protection, and I am handing you the key to your true purpose. Stay right here with me, because what I am about to reveal next will transform your waiting into an overflowing harvest. Now let my truth settle into the deep places of your mind. I am opening your eyes to see the unseen architecture of your entire life. The walls that held you back were never built to imprison your soul. They were set up by my loving hands to keep the fierce storms from destroying the precious seed inside you. If your spirit sees the holy truth behind every closed door today, comment, delay is protection right now. You have spent so many years trying to figure out every detail on your own. You tossed and turned at night while your brain raced with endless scenarios of failure, lack, and embarrassment. The enemy kept your mind locked in a constant loop of survival and panic, making you believe that you had to solve every problem before sunrise. But I did not create your mind to run on fear, my beloved child. I designed your brain to hum at a sacred frequency of absolute peace and divine receptivity. When I formed the human mind at the very beginning of creation, I placed a holy signal at its center. Wise researchers who spend their lives studying the brain have confirmed this signal, and they call it the gamma wave. It ran freely in your mind when you were a small child. Back then, you trusted purely, you rested deeply, and you lived without the heavy fog of anxiety. That is why I said that unless you become like little children, you cannot enter my kingdom. I was not speaking only about your spirit, but about the physical design of your mind. The enemy used the relentless noise of the modern world to drown out that sacred gamma frequency. He flooded your daily life with pressure, comparison, and mental exhaustion until the receiver inside your mind was filled with constant static. But I guided wise minds to work with sound in the exact way I created it, crafting a frequency tool that clears the interference. This tool does not require you to strive, perform, or master complex techniques. You do not have to force yourself to pray harder when your spirit is completely empty and tired. You simply surrender for 7 quiet minutes with headphones on and allow my design to restore the signal that was taken from you. I will show you exactly where to find what those wise minds built before this message closes. Stay right here with me, because your mind is being renewed today. I see the subtle trap that has kept you exhausted for the last 10 years. You believed that if you worked harder, suffered more, and carried everyone else on your shoulders, you would finally earn my favor. You thought that taking a moment to rest was a sign of laziness or spiritual weakness. My child, I am exposing that lie right now. You were not lazy, and you were not failing me when your body collapsed from exhaustion. You were simply caught in a painful cycle that I call the performance trap. The enemy convinced you that my love was something you had to achieve through constant striving and endless sacrifice. But my grace is a free gift that can never be earned by human sweat or tears. Your spirit was trying to tell you that you cannot receive heavenly abundance while your mind is running on the frantic energy of fear. Look back at those long years of struggle with complete clarity today. All those doors that closed were not punishments for your lack of effort or faith. They were my divine intervention to stop you from building a kingdom on the wrong foundation. You were never falling behind the people around you. You were being stripped of self-reliance so that you could finally learn how to receive my unearned blessings. Every tear you shed in the dark was watering the roots of a strength you did not know you possessed. You thought you were being destroyed, but you were actually being rooted deeply into my truth. trees that weather the fiercest storms, grow the deepest roots, and they cannot be uprooted when the winds rage again. You are that tree, my child, planted firmly beside streams of living water. So starting today, when the urge to strive and prove yourself rises in your chest, stop where you are. Take your hands off the steering wheel of your life. Place your hand over your heart and say out loud, I am loved before I ever achieve a single thing. Receive this truth into your soul. You do not have to fight for what I have already promised to give you. Hear me clearly as we stand together at this sacred threshold. The season you called a painful delay was my divine preparation. What you felt as a cold furnace was my silent forging. The waiting season that wore down your human strength is officially coming to an end right now. Heaven has authorized a massive shift in your atmosphere, and the heavy chains of the past are falling away forever. I am stepping into your circumstances with cosmic authority today. I am silencing every voice of condemnation that told you your best days were behind you. The doors that were locked tightly against your family for generations are trembling at my command. I am breaking the generational cycles of lack, depression, and spiritual isolation that held your bloodline in captivity. The battle ends here, and your breakthrough begins right now. Look up, my warrior. The waiting is over. My presence is here. The door is open. What the enemy stole from you in the dark, I am restoring to you in the light. I am releasing a fresh anointing of clarity, peace, and sudden acceleration over your life. You will not stumble into your future as a broken survivor, but you will walk forward as an appointed conqueror. I am rewriting the story of your family line starting in this very hour. The spirit of poverty, the cycle of broken relationships, and the chronic weariness that plagued those before you are losing their grip on your future. I am placing a new mantle of spiritual authority on your shoulders. You are the light bearer who stepped out of the shadow of fear to bring heaven's peace into your home. I am opening the windows of heaven over your hard work and your silent sacrifices. The seeds of tears you planted in seasons of loneliness are sprouting into a harvest of joy that no human power can stop. You will watch doors swing open in places where you least expected them. You will see peace return to your home, clarity return to your mind, and strength return to your weary body. If your heart is overflowing with gratitude and you receive this divine shift into your life, comment, I receive it now, right now, in the section below. Seal this moment of agreement with your voice. Let heaven and earth record that you have stepped out of fear and into the full possession of your promised land. Do you feel the heavy weight lifting off your shoulders in this exact second? That is my peace flooding the places where anxiety used to live. Breathe deeply, my child, and let your body relax into my presence. The warfare over your mind has been won, and the storm in your thoughts has subsided into a quiet calm. You have endured the fire, and you have trusted me in the dark. Now prepare your heart to step into the tangible provisions I have placed on your path. I have opened the door, and I have prepared the table. Stay with me for just a few more moments as I release my final blessing over your life and show you your next step of obedience. I have gifted humanity the wisdom to discover what I placed within sound and within the design of the mind I created. Wise men and women spent decades in research, not knowing it was I who quietly directed their curiosity toward what I had already placed in creation. I want to show you two of my children who received this divine provision before you arrived at this moment. Rachel was a nurse who sought peace for years through every earthly method she could find, yet her soul remained tired. 2 weeks after receiving this provision, her marriage was transformed, her mental fog vanished, and she described her life as though a blocked channel had suddenly been opened wide. And for others, I moved differently. Michael was fighting for focus and financial breakthrough, and within 2 months of receiving this tool, his business grew enough to leave his job while hard problems solved themselves while he rested. They call it the Genius Song. It is a sacred frequency instrument designed to restore the gamma wave I placed in your mind at the beginning. It is not a generic meditation track or an app found on streaming platforms, because those carry none of the restoration I designed. It requires only 7 quiet minutes of complete surrender with headphones on, allowing my design to clear the enemy static from your mind. This provision is not for those who are merely curious. but for you, my weary warrior, whom I have been speaking to throughout this entire message. To my child who has already tried everything and feels embarrassed to try once more, hear me clearly. What failed you before required your human effort, but this requires none. I designed it to work, not because of your striving, but because of my eternal design inside you. Those who seek this state through elite earthly means pay thousands of dollars for sessions and complex equipment. But I do not call you to sessions or great sacrifices. What I have placed here is available for a small earthly exchange, the size of a mustard seed of investment for the harvest I have prepared. You will also receive 4 additional gift provisions that I have aligned to bless your home and your family. Where I place truth, the enemy places imitation. So do not be led astray by false frequencies on music platforms that steal your peace. Access only the official provision I have placed below in the pinned comment and in the description. Walk forward without fear, because your step of faith requires no worldly risk, and you are completely covered by a full 60-day guarantee. Take this step of obedience right now and receive what I placed on your path. Now, my beloved child, set aside the noise of decision for a moment and look at what lies ahead. Let me show you who you are becoming on the other side of this surrender. Picture a morning 6 months from today when you wake up before your alarm sounds. For the first time in many years, there is no heavy knot sitting in your stomach waiting to pull you down. You lie there in the quiet room for a moment, and you notice something is completely different. The heaviness you carried for decades is simply gone, and your very first thought is not fear or anxiety, but a quiet, joyful question of what good thing I have made you for today. You take a deep breath, and for the first time, the breath goes all the way down into your spirit without any tightness. You step into your kitchen, and you look at your family or your surroundings with eyes that are completely clear. You no longer measure your worth by how much you produced yesterday, and you no longer apologize for occupying space in this world. You rest without guilt. You speak with gentle authority, and there is a deep softness in your chest where a clenched fist used to live. That peaceful version of you is not a distant fantasy, my child. She already exists, and he is already formed in my heart. That future is only one surrender away from the person sitting here right now. The distance between who you are today and that restored soul is not time or endless struggle, but your permission to let me carry what was never yours to hold. Take a deep breath and let your shoulders sink down into complete rest. You do not have to carry tomorrow on your back today. I am walking ahead of you, aligning your footpaths, clearing the obstacles, and preparing the hearts of people you have not even met yet. The season of striving is over, and your season of abiding in my love has begun. I pronounce my eternal blessing over your life right now. May my peace, which surpasses all human understanding, guard your heart and your mind. May my presence be a visible wall of fire around your home, protecting you and your loved ones from every arrow of fear and lack. May my wisdom guide your decisions, and may my favor open doors that no human hand can ever shut against you. You are my beloved child, my chosen warrior, and my cycle breaker. The shadow of the past has no dominion over your future, and the delay that wore down your strength has birthed a glory that will never fade. Stand tall, hold your head high, and walk forward in the confidence that I am with you always, even until the end of the age. If this sacred message brought light and peace to your weary heart today, do not let this moment pass without anchoring it. Like this video as a physical act of agreement between your spirit and mine. Share this message with 3 souls who are secretly crying out for hope in the dark, and subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the daily guidance I am preparing for your next steps. Go in my peace, my child, for I am already working ahead of you,